going on, everybody? If you hadn't already guessed, we're going to go ahead and talk about releases today. So I kind of want to go through my evolution in releases, give you an idea why I've chosen what I've chosen over the years. This is based on about 5 to 10 years, probably closer to 10 years worth of shooting a bow a lot. You know, I've shot a bow for a long time, but I didn't really get serious into it until about 2000, I'd say 11 or so. So it's been 8 years, 9 years now since I started shooting pretty seriously and actually working at an archery shop. So let's see, 2011 or so, I got a diamond outlaw, I think it was. And I didn't have that bow very long. I was drawing it back on the draw board and it just blew up on me. So I decided to send that bow back to Diamond. They replaced it, sent us a new one to the shop, put the new one on the shelf, and I bought a Hoyt. Well, when I bought that Hoyt, there was a guy that had just came in with this release here, which is the TruFire Edge. This TruFire was used when I bought it, and it's now been shot since 2011 since I've had it. So this release here is who knows how many years old. It's at least 10 years old. The strap is starting to get pretty worn out on it, and due to the strap being worn out, the head's getting kind of worn out, I decided to go to a different release, which I also got a deal on through the shop. This is the, I don't know if they still make them. This is the TruFire Chicken Wing, I think is what it was. The Chicken Wing shot really well for me, but I had a couple things that I didn't like about it, and I never really enjoyed this release the way that I liked this TruFire Edge. So, this brings us to my latest choice of release, which is the one that I'm currently shooting. It's going to take a lot for me to change from this, which is the Carter Wise Choice, which is quite a bit more expensive than the other two releases, but in my personal opinion, made me shoot a whole lot better as a hunter. So, let's talk about the things that I liked about the TruFire Edge and why I shot it for so long. If you like shooting a wrist release, if you shot a thumb release and didn't like it, whatever it may be, or if you just don't care to try one, we'll talk about this release here and what I like about it. It's got a good leather strap. It's not super thick, which I really like. This strap here was a lot thicker, and I don't really like the way they went with their newer straps. This is the older version, and it's a lot thinner. The other cool thing about these TruFires is they have an adjustable head on them. So as you notice, I'm threading this out, and it's getting longer, getting shorter. So you can really adjust that to where you want it, and then you tighten down your set screw and you're good to go. Another good thing about this release versus others is that it has a clamp, the jaws themselves, let me get my bow real quick. The jaws themselves, when you open and close them, you physically have to pull the trigger all the way back to get the jaws to open to take your release off of your string. Now, if you have tension on your string and you barely touch it, then it pops off. But if you have no tension, it's kind of it's a dual jaw release, and it just clamps right on there, so you don't have to worry about accidentally barely bumping your trigger and taking your release off your D-loop. So I liked that aspect of it. Now, the other thing about it is that since it's dual jawed release, when you pull back on your trigger, the jaws open evenly. Hopefully you can see that. The jaws open evenly, and that creates a lot less torque on the D-loop. And we'll talk about that when we get into the next release we're going to talk about. But the dual caliper releases like this create less torque on your string. And you'll notice that when you start shooting, when you go from this type release to, say, a single jaw release or a hook type release like this chicken wing, when you go back and try to paper tune it, it's actually going to paper tune different for the most part. You'll start getting a tear one way or the other depending on whether you're right or left-handed. So I did like the fact that it was a dual jaw release. I also like the fact that TruFire has this spring technology, so when you're in the stand, it's actually pulled back against your sleeve or against your arm. It's out of the way. That's one major reason why I shoot TruFire wrist releases. I really like that aspect of it. So pop it back out, pop it back down. It's great for self-filming because your release isn't clanking on your camera arm all the time, or when you're climbing your stand, it's not clanking on stuff. But it still does clank and get hooked on things. we'll talk about that when we get into the thumb release and why I chose that. So let's go away from this release. Like I said, really enjoyed this release. It's a great index finger release or wrist strap release. I really liked it. So getting into the chicken wing, this is, like I said, the wrist strap is a lot thicker. I've never really liked how thick this wrist strap was. It also has the adjustment just like the Edge does, so you can adjust the length of the head of your release. But the downside to this one is once it's set, it doesn't swivel. So when you draw back, say you turn your hand, this thing, maybe you can see it on my bow. Say I draw back and my hand turns a little bit, you can actually see that it's twisting that D-loop. My release is twisting the D-loop. And since it's a hook type release, when you shoot, that hook follows the D-loop follows the hook the whole way back until it comes off of it, which can and has for me created torque on the string. I noticed with this release I shoot to the left compared to other releases that I shoot. So that part I didn't like about it, but I did shoot this release really well, so I can't complain all about it. The other major issue that I've had with this release until I decided to super glue all my hardware in is I had numerous times, including one time in Colorado in the backcountry, where this screw right here that holds the whole head on, I don't know if you can see it, that screw right there fell out. And luckily for me, it fell out and I didn't move, and I realized it had fell out, because if it had fell out at another time, I would have never found that screw. But I found the screw, I super glued it in, and I thought it was good. Well, about a year later, it fell out again. So I super glued the threads and the head in this time, and now you're not getting it out. But unfortunately, it's unfortunate that you would have to do that on a release as expensive as this. I think this release sells for somewhere around $100. I think the TruFire Edge is somewhere around the $60 range, $60 to $70 range, which is very, very, good for the release that you're getting. So, like I said, I was having issues with the chicken wing. Once again, it still has the technology where it folds back, but I still, climbing and stuff, you still every now and then you'll hit on something or whatever it may be. So, I decided to go from this to now what I'm shooting is the Carter Wise Choice. This is an expensive release. I think it's somewhere around $200-ish, plus or minus a little bit. But the thing about it is this is fully adjustable. I bought the 3-finger version. A lot of guys are shooting the knock to it and the knock-on releases and stuff like that, and a lot of them are 2-finger. I like the 3-finger, but most of the time I don't even really have my 3rd finger, my ring finger, I don't even have on the release for the most part. This release is much more comfortable to me, drawing the bow, shooting the bow. One thing to keep in mind, if you go to a thumb release, for me it added an inch to my draw length where I felt comfortable shooting a bow. So now I'm shooting from 26.5 to 27.5 with this thumb release. Another thing to keep in mind is when you tie your D-loop on, make sure you tie a big enough D-loop that if you shoot like me where you turn your thumb release when you draw back, make sure it's not going to apply torque to your string. And it could, if you tie a really short D-loop on there, it could cause torque on your string, which is what happened to me when I first went to this release. Now I've got that all out of the way. My bow's shooting great. I'm shooting great. I shoot a whole lot better. I had a lot of target panic with a wrist release or index finger release. I'd gotten to where I was really punching the trigger. Going to this took that away from me. The trigger on this release is super smooth. It's a very, very crisp trigger. There's not a lot of play in it, not a lot of travel in it. As soon as you start hitting it, boom, it's ready to go. The thumb bar here, or bulb, whatever they call it, is adjustable. You can put it where you want it. The trigger tension is adjustable. You can set it where you want it. I have mine set pretty light, not super, super light, but it's pretty light. The cool thing about this release is click it on your string, it's good to go. If you're tree stand hunting, you can just leave it hanging there. For the most part, I leave it in my pocket, or I'll have it slid on the top of my binocular harness. If it's super, super cold outside, I would definitely recommend putting it in your pocket, because this thing will get cold. Now, being a self-filmer, this has really made my life a lot easier. Climbing the tree, it's made my life easier because you don't have a release hooked to you all the time, and that chance of metal-to-metal contact isn't there. So I leave mine in my pocket. One thing I would recommend doing is make sure 100% that before you leave your truck, you have your release, because, or say you take a nap, take a snack somewhere on the mountain, make sure you have your release before you start moving, because there's a chance that you leave and you leave this thing on the ground. That's the only worry, the only thing that worries me is losing this. So far, it's not been an issue. I've taken it on several hunts. I've had really good luck with it. And like I said, I will definitely not be going back to a wrist release unless something weird off the wall happens. I really, really like this Carter Wise choice. It's made me a lot better archer. It's made me more accurate, and it's really helped my target panic. So I can't recommend trying a thumb release. The main thing I can say here is like shoes. It's different for everybody. So make sure that when you start trying releases, if you have the option, go out there and try a few of them before you buy one. I love this Wise choice, but the next guy may not. I like the option to have my index finger inside that front section there. I haven't shot a whole lot of thumb releases to try them out. I've shot 2 or 3 different ones, and this is the one I like the best. But I really, really like that, having that hole for my index finger to go in, just set it on, whatever it may be. It's came in handy so far. Now, for you elk hunters and stuff out there, like I said, I have a pocket in my binocular harness. I slide it in. It's good to go. It's always there. I don't have to worry about it falling out. Just keep in mind that that's something you're going to have to think about, is keeping track of this release here. So that's the only negative to a thumb release, is it's, in my opinion, it's easier to lose. But I think it's worth the switch. So hopefully this video has helped you. Come up here to the Grafton Archery shop. They've got a whole wall back there full of releases, and they will let you try them out and test them for yourself. So don't just go off of my videos, test them for yourself, do some research. But like I said, I choose a thumb release over a wrist strap release, and I kind of gave you some situations why, and I'm definitely happy that I made the switch. So thanks for watching this video. Please keep checking us out on Facebook and Instagram. Check this channel out for all new content. I should be starting to post some more videos here. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Give these guys a call up here at Grafton Archery at 704-855-1300. And shoot them any questions that you may have. And if you have any questions for me, please comment down below. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.